Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk ICP. Today, in our eighth episode, we have a super special guest with us, a colleague of the Micros and a fellow podcaster, Mr. Jesse Friedman. Thank you so much, Jesse, for being here with us today.
Hello, fellow member of the ICP podcasting ecosystem, Javier. I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, first of all, as always, and always, you are well known and much loved by the entire community for the Internet Computer. Undoubtedly, I think you are one of the people who has contributed the most, and you are contributing to the growth of the Internet Computer. But for the people who don't know you, can you introduce yourself? Yes. What is your background and your beginnings before starting in ICP project?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So my name's on Twitter. I'm ICP Jesse. I work as what's called a marketing contractor. So I have a relationship with Dfinity where they hired me as an arm's length marketing contractor to help grow the ICP ecosystem. And part of the idea there is that I don't work inside Dfinity. I work external to Dfinity, which gives me more arm's length distance and more ability to talk more freely. And help promote the community. And, I love this job. I'm having so much fun. I really enjoy the work. I think it's really creative. I think it's really interesting. I really like being self-directed in my work. And so my background is as an entrepreneur
Uh-huh.
from a couple different things. I worked in tech originally. So I had, coming out of the Mac and Apple world, I did a couple help desk jobs in San Francisco. And then I founded a brewery in San Francisco called Almanac Beer Company. I actually
Mhm.
came to that out of blogging. I was like a beer blogger as like a hobby, and then took my hobby full time. So I was a home brewer. I was making beer in my kitchen in San Francisco,
Wow,
and yeah, and really
that's
wanted.
cool.
So I had a co-founder, and so we started the business and put some money together, a little bit of money together, and made that first batch of beer, sold that beer out, and then used the money from that to make a second batch, sold that, used that to do a third. And that really grew and grew over time. And so we raised money. We built a 30,000 square foot facility in Alameda Island, which is part of across the bay from San Francisco next to Oakland. We put in a full brew house there and grew that to, distributed in like 35 states, internationally distributed, bottled beer, canned beer. But that was a really great experience, going from, co-founders are the only people doing it. I was in charge of the social media during that time. So I grew like our Instagram account from 0 to 50,000 followers. I
Mhm.
wrote all the beer recipes. I named all the beers. I wrote all the copy for the beer, and I did all the community management as well. So headed up sales, headed up distribution. You wear a lot of hats, and so
Yeah.
I did that, and then I got involved in crypto around when the pandemic started and that huge bull run happened, and so I took a real interest in crypto. And then I got connected with Dfinity and ICP over Twitter, and it had sort of come to my attention as like a retail day trader, and which I'm very happy to have left behind. I found being a crypto day trader too stressful for my constitution. I really like being all
Yeah.
in and focused on one thing, like I am with ICP now. So
Mhm.
I got connected and I got hired as sort of an experiment in marketing for the Internet Computer, where they sort of said, ICP and Dfinity as an organization, marketing isn't what we're really great at. We're getting a lot of complaints that it's not being, marketed, and can we try something new, something fresh? And I was a part of that idea, and so. I think it's been really successful. I think it's actually really made a big difference in terms of the communication and growing the ICP message and community. And so I do a lot of different projects in the IC Internet Computer ecosystem space to help grow the community, to help reach, to bring new people in the fold, to make it more welcoming.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, your story, because yeah, you start from the scratch as entrepreneur. You get a lot of hats, like you mentioned, like sales, marketing, like found everything. Write the recipes, started in Instagram from the scratch to 50,000 followers. This is a successful story. Also, like how you like switch the beers and all this type of business to the crypto, and how to start in ICP community. That's something like honestly, before to start also working for Internet Computer Protocol and know more about the cryptos, I follow you before, and that's an amazing story. And also, as you mentioned before, you are one of the people who has contributed the most to the ICP ecosystem in multiple ways to spread the word and improve the ICP blockchain. To name, for example, a few of your projects, there are a lot. I think it's just like name a few of your projects. You are together with Kyle Langham, the co-host of the most successful podcast on the internet computer, the famous Neurotic podcast. We are going to talk a little bit more after. You also work at Definitive Foundation or ICP community as a member of special projects, building projects, and community on the internet computer. You are also a taquero and creator of Taco NFT collection, and also Calavera Schools. It's like an eyedrop on the NFT marketplace Entrepot. You are the founder of LinguaLabs and Hello ICP. Hello ICP is like a website with ICP basics for newbies and new developers to creator and first. You were also the first person to propose to establish a carbon footprint and sustainability policy for the internet computer. This is pretty cool. And I'm sure I left a few projects maybe in which you are involved or currently participating. Honestly, without passion, without doing what you like, this would not be possible. Do you feel lucky to be part of this huge project, and you can explain a little bit more how you deal in 24 hours, 7 days, all of your projects? Yeah, I'm curious to know
you
more
don't
about.
you don't have to butter me up with any more compliments at this point, Javier. You got me on the podcast. You landed me on the show. I don't need any more compliments. And you haven't gotten to know me yet. You'll scale back these compliments once you really get to know me a little better here. But yeah, I like I said, my approach to the internet computer. I'm not a developer, and so I have I joke that I'm proudly first one day dropout of Motoko boot camp. But I am relatively technical. I've done a lot of technical communication and technical writing in the background, and I think that is a great perspective. And so my sort of lens through which I view ICP is a home for entrepreneurship and a platform for creating really novel and interesting businesses using the ICP and crypto tech stack and all the opportunities that opens up. And my I like to learn by doing, right? And so for me, I like to create things, create projects, and get people involved in different efforts. And so that's sort of how the lens and the path that I've charted for myself in ICP. And that's, so we have the podcast, which is super fun. And I am, by the way, genuinely excited that you're doing this show, and I really want to encourage you to keep doing it. I know you're right at that like 6 to 10 range is when the novelty of starting the podcast is worn off and the grind of making it all happen is really in. So I want to encourage you to keep it up. I really like having your voice going in the community. I think it's really great. I want to have a whole ecosystem of ICP podcasts so we're all responding to what each other are talking about and making that conversation really go. But yeah, and then you mentioned my Taco NFT project, and that's a great example of that was really built on my personal passions of just loving food and my background in food and beer, and trying something fun and small. And the idea there was really born out of highlighting the strengths of the IC ecosystem.
Yeah.
And specifically, I'd been,
Yeah, it's the best mix, right? Tacos and beer. Sounds
exactly.
sounds
Now
really
I'm
good.
it's morning here, but I'm getting hungry already.
Yeah, me too.
So there's no gas fees on the internet computer when you compare it to ETH, for example. So I'd been dabbling in the ETH NFT market, bought into a couple different projects and communities there, but was just continually appalled at the just outrageous gas fees. So like one particular ETH-based project I really liked, the NFTs at the time were for sale for 0.08 ETH, which was like $200-ish US at the time. I'm sure it's a lot less now. But then my gas fees were like ranging from like $65 to $100. And so it's a tax of, what was that, 30-40% on the purchase, which is outrageous. And
Yeah,
so
that's outrageous.
part of the reason tacos are cheap, right? Tacos are a cheap, simple street food. They're really accessible. Everybody loves tacos. And so I wanted to bring that sort of cheap and cheerful kind of playfulness over into the ICP ecosystem, and specifically build a project around what the ICE ecosystem is great at. And so in this case, it is the no gas fees means that they are super inexpensive. So the tacos are priced to mint them are 0.5 ICP, which right now is around $3-ish. And so that is the idea is a cheap and cheerful. So you can't do a $3 NFT on Ethereum because you have to charge $3 for the NFT and $70 in gas fees,
Fees,
and which is nuts, right? And so instead, by having it be 3.0001 with the transaction fee, really highlights something. This is something that highlights the strengths of the IC ecosystem. And then on top of that, the tacos give me a way to interact with projects and connect, and the interactivity and that interwovenness of Web3, that you have something in your wallet and you can go out and connect to other pieces. And that actually has been successful beyond my, initial ideas. So one of the big ideas we wanted to do was create a community space hosted on chain. And so when you have a taco in your wallet, it gives you access to the taco portal, hosted by Discover, which is a private social network space where you can only post about tacos. And then, so that was the initial conception. And since then, it has grown and grown and grown. And so we've done additional airdrops and all the art is done in collaboration with a local artist here in Los Angeles named Miguel, who goes by Taco Seidel on Instagram and was born to draw tacos. I mean, really, really talented artist. I've been really fun to support him and be able to pay him fairly for his work and help expose his art to the community. And then we just did an integration with Plethora Games, where they created a new game mode illustrated with tacos and calavera skulls. Cool. And we've created other integrations with the. I actually recently had to do I was doing a presentation on it, and I put together like a web showing all the different projects that we are collaborating with in IC. And I was running out of space, and I think that interconnectedness of the way the different pieces can connect to each other, that you can connect with Discover, you can connect into District, you can connect into all these different systems. I think that is so exciting and so interesting, and one of the strengths of the IC ecosystem, and a really novel application of the crypto tech. And so so that's the idea. I feel like I've been talking about tacos for a while now.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, for sure. Like $3 is affordable for everyone around the world. $3 for like NFT tacos. It's pretty affordable, and that's pretty cool. And everyone can like buy the tacos on Entrepot, right? On the NFT marketplace and Entrepot.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Other thing that I would like to talk with you is about your podcast, the Neurotic podcast with your friend, and also is the director of data and analytics at Definity, Kyle Langham. What is it like to work with Kyle and do the weekly podcast? I know it's pretty tough, do like a weekly podcast and have like content, and even more in your podcast, because you talk a lot of different topics. It's like an agenda every week for the podcast, and cover different aspects, and you need to know all the information about all the aspects. I love it, honestly. And the duo Jesse Kyle, that's amazing, because on the one hand is the mix of like funny moments, anecdotes about traveling, about food, about tacos, about everything. And then for the other hand is also like you talk about different complex topics, right, on internet computers, such as proposal, stats in network system, the NNS. Also talk about new projects. Can you tell us a little bit more about how is you prepare the podcast and how you feel it like doing the podcast weekly? And
I'd be happy to. Yeah, I really enjoy doing the podcast. I'm a fan of podcasts. I love podcasts. I've wanted to do a podcast for a long time. I've been super interested. I think podcasts provide a really unique and interesting way to communicate with an audience, and it's genuinely and remarkably different than a YouTube audience or a Twitter audience. I think it requires so much more in-depth commitment from your listeners. So when you do a podcast, and I'm sure you have analytics to back this up, you get way infinitely, exponentially smaller number of people being exposed to it. But the people that do listen are deeply committed, and you really form a deep relationship. And it creates, it's actually a funny thing where it creates this relationship where when you listen to a podcast every week, and I have lots of podcasts I do, you feel like you're friends with the people that are on the podcast. You feel really connected, that you're like in their lives and hearing and stepping into this conversation. And I think there's an authenticity to that communication. And I think that is what really people connect to. And it lets you be freer with your communication than you can be on Twitter, because you can't quote tweet a podcast. And so it allows for a more nuanced, in-depth, sort of humanistic approach to discussing some of these topics. So the way that the podcast came together, I've been wanting to do a podcast. I've been thinking about it. I had done an interview podcast like you're doing in the past, where you bring on a new guest. I did a beer one, and I had to bail on it after 6 weeks because I got too busy with other work. But as sure you've discovered, scheduling a guest every week is one of the hardest parts of making a podcast go. And so I really wanted to do a podcast with one host, two hosts that just talk to each other. And that podcast is the two of us talking to each other. And it's not about guests. It's not about changing. It's about consistency and reliability and that relationship, and kind of growing that and having inside jokes that the two co-hosts can sort of grow on over time and bring the audience with us and create this community around that. And so it started with, I was doing a lot of Twitter Spaces at the beginning of the year, and I invited Kyle on as a guest on one of them, and I did not tell him he was secretly auditioning for a podcast. I just did it anyway. So Kyle came on. He, of course, killed it with his analysis, and he's obviously incredibly smart. And I joke that he's like Neo with the Matrix, where he looks at this data and just pulls these stories out of them. That's so interesting. And so my original concept was sort of like, he's like the data analyst and I'm like the opinion columnist kind of relationship. And he would provide a lot of the technical info and I would provide sort of color commentary. But the reality is it's much more sort of a meeting of equals kind of thing, where he's got opinions and I've got opinions, and I've got tech stuff I want to explain and he's got tech stuff he wants to explain. But yeah, so we keep a Google Doc going, an endless Google Doc that we both write into. And over the course of the week, as things come up, tweets come up, Ask Neurotic questions get posted, just interesting conversations, announcements, press releases, whatever it is, we just sort of stash it in that document. And we joke constantly that every week we worry that there won't be enough content. And then every week we record and we only get to half of what we originally thought we were going to, because it turns out we had a lot to say when we turned those mics on. And so, we have an outline of what we want to talk about, but we actually make a point now of when we do, like, we sort of go through and what we're going to talk about, but we really try not to talk about it before the show, because I really think our podcast is at its very best when the two of us are talking about something live and we're not pretending to have a conversation. We are having an actual conversation, if that makes sense. Like you and I are doing right now. Like, I didn't know what, it's not like a rehearsed answer or something like that. And so when Kyle gets like a little mad at me and really wants to say something, that's when I think the podcast is at its best. When there's like, again, that authenticity, real humans talking about it. And it's like, okay to disagree and then dig into why do we disagree and try and get that more in-depth kind of exploration of these topics. But I'm very, podcasting is something I'm really passionate about. It's really important to me. I really enjoy making it. I enjoy listening to them, and I try and make the kind of podcast I would want to listen to as well.
Yeah, authenticity and be natural, I think, is the key for get community involved into your podcast. Also, like, when people like sound your voice every week, and maybe your face is like an actor, right? You think it's like a friend, even if you never like meet Jesse in the podcast or Kyle. You feel like it's like a near person. It's like a friend or someone like you can trust, and this is something amazing.
Yeah. Now, by podcast
honestly.
law, we're obligated to start talking about microphones and headsets and
Yeah.
detailed. This is all podcasters want to talk about is podcasting stuff usually.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then the other piece is it's really important to me to make a. I put a lot of work into producing the show. So after we record the show, because we record on the internet, I end up with two separate audio tracks that are me and Kyle separate, and then I do a hand edit of the entire show. So I go through the entire show, start to end. I cut out stuff. I move some things around. Generally speaking, we attempt to do it as close to live to tape as possible because I don't, I'm not doing like fine, massive surgery, moving around one word and making people say what they didn't say. But I try and take out some repetition. Humans don't talk the way they write. And so a lot of
Mhm.
sentences, you'll have a lot of beginning, thinking, trying to formulate the idea. Now I've picked up all my own verbal tics that
Yeah.
I have to edit out and, mumbling and things like that. So listening to
Yeah.
yourself on a podcast can be very surreal sometimes.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, people think like do a podcast is, yeah, like a conversation, 30 minutes, 1 hour, and it's like a behind the scenes. There are a lot of different aspects, how the production, how you prepare the question, what is the topics that you're going to talk about. It's like a big project and a huge work behind the scenes. It's not just like a conversation and that's it. This is something like people need to know about the podcast also for sure.
I don't know if they
Uh,
need to know. I don't know if they need to know it because they need the podcast to be good. But yeah,
just enjoy,
I
yeah.
would estimate I put in about 8 to 10 hours for each episode total,
Hmm.
between research, prep,
Yeah.
recording, editing, and then publishing. It goes through a whole workflow to get it out the door and try and maintain that high level of standard and polish. Because I spend so much time on the podcast yelling about the
Hmm.
importance of user experience for these, next generation apps that are being built on the internet computer. I think it's
Uh-huh.
important to kind of dog food that same attitude about level of polish and execution and try and bring that to my show too.
Hmm. Great. Yeah, other thing that I would like to talk with you is one of the greatest achievements for me that you has been done is the approval of the ICP green proposal on the NNS, the governance brain of Internet Computer. The green proposal is related to the sustainability and converting the ICP blockchain in the least polluting and most respectful blockchain on the ecosystem. Um, the idea is really amazing. You create a proposal about carbon footprint and environmental impact assessment regards with electricity in internet computer, cost per transaction, energy consumption. Can you explain us what motivated you to create this proposal and what are the latest developments or updates regarding this proposal?
Great question. I have lots to say about this. Yeah, I have a young daughter. She's going to turn 2 in a month, and I'm really concerned about the world being on fire. I 100% believe in global warming. I believe that it's man-made, and I strongly believe that converting to green energy not only is good for the planet, it also creates new and better business opportunities. That going green is good for business, that it's good policy, it's good. There's, I think, in many ways, almost no downsides. And I'm talking about not just greenwashing, not just marketing that isn't backed by action. I'm talking about real change. And so if the internet computer is scalable to support the entire internet and provide a replacement for traditional IT infrastructure, lowering that carbon footprint, I think, is an important check that it has to hit for people making these decisions, because these environmental concerns are not going away. They're only going to get worse. Our weather is getting more extreme. I'm living through a heat wave and a drought in California right now. This is very, very top of mind. So when I actually first got started with the internet computer, I sat down and made a long list of different topics I wanted to go after, and sustainability was at the top of that list. And so Solana's report on their green initiative had just come out around that time. And I said, okay, Solana did this. Where's the ICP report? And I was pointed towards a Reddit post from a Definity engineer doing a little bit of back the napkin math. And so I
Mhm.
interviewed him. I talked to him about that. I wrote an article called Crypto in the Time of Climate Change, about on Medium about, sort of showing that basically said, look, we think ICP is an incredibly green platform, but we actually haven't measured it or proven it yet. But that was part of the core original conception that Dom envisioned, put sustainability at the center of its design choices. And in addition to that, as someone that's charged with marketing and growing the platform, that is a tool and a weapon I want to take into battle to go out and promote the platform. That I think a really strong sustainability story is fantastic. And to me, a sort of ongoing narrative thread of the internet computer is incredible tech that is not as marketed as well as it could be. And that's something both you and I are trying to change. And it turned out the story with the sustainability was actually even a truer version of that same thing. The internet computer is an incredibly green, incredibly efficient, really, really forward-thinking platform that sips electricity, and we aren't out there telling people about it. We've done the hard part, which is to make it sustainable, and we haven't done the next part, which is to market that talent that the platform has. So again, that theme of wanting to dog food, wanting to do it, not wanting to just do marketing, wanting to do action and build things. So I wrote a NNS resolution, and I really tried to put that through the process that would lead to success. So I started by, I wrote something up, I showed it to a handful of smart people in the ecosystem. I got feedback inside and outside Dfinity. I got some notes and feedback. I then posted it to the Dfinity forums. Got additional feedback there, and then posted it to the NNS where it passed with overwhelming support. And then it was just kind of all quiet after that. Nothing really happened for a while until just a few weeks ago, the Internet Computer Carbon Footprint Report came out, which was a collaborative effort between IC Carbon Footprint and the Dfinity Foundation, and the results are amazing. The results are better than I could have ever predicted. Just so excited. I think, can you put a link in show notes to people for people to see this, or I'll put up a tweet when this comes out to support it. But I encourage everyone to go and look at it. I'm actually working on a video to promote this right now, but the big takeaway is that the internet computer isn't just more efficient than the other blockchains out there. It is exponentially orders of magnitude more efficient. And so, I see, looking at watt hour per transaction, we come in lower than Solana, lower than Algorand, lower than Avalanche, lower than Polkadot, lower than Tezos, lower than Cardano, and thousands of times lower than Bitcoin or Ethereum.
That's crazy.
And so it's a fantastic system. And so this is great because we're already doing the good thing. It's how do we communicate this now? So I was actually just joking. I think I might make a shirt with this chart on it showing how efficient the internet computer's carbon footprint is. I think that might be a fun way to promote this. And then I'm working on a video project as well. But the big core takeaway is the internet computer is one of the greenest blockchains on the planet. And if we want to make a more sustainable future, this is a path we have available to us. And there's no drop in, it does not cost more. It doesn't, in fact, it costs less, and it creates more opportunities for hosting this as the platform, because this is an issue that is not going away. It is only going to get worse and worse and worse in the future. And so I'm excited about it from a marketing point of view, and I'm really excited about it from a green, sustainability concern about the planet point of view.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel proud about ICP in that milestone. That is one of the greenest blockchains in the world. The sustainability and how convert the least polluting and most respectful blockchain in the environment. And yeah, for sure, we are going to share after finish the podcast the information, the link, and people can see the graphs about the comparative between the ICP and other blockchains. And that's really great news for everybody, just not for the blockchain ecosystem. Is something pretty great, and we need to work on it. And yeah, I encourage you to exactly as you did, leader this proposal and go farther with everything. That's amazing, honestly, Jesse. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a
Yeah,
community effort. I'm just sort of the face of it. There's a lot of smart people behind the scenes. I didn't write this report. That was written by, the teams at Definity and Carbon Footprint. So it is absolutely a community effort that I'm happy to take
yeah.
some partial credit for. But all of this is, all blockchain efforts are collaborative, and that applies
Mhm.
on chain as well as in person.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, this type of solutions, maybe like people like read and this, hey, yeah, I'm agree, but then it's nothing, and it's just like empty. No, people doesn't work on that, and this is something like we need like leaders as you, or people like involved, 100% involved on this type of solutions and work on it because it's pretty important for sustainability for the future of blockchain. Also, is if we try to move people from Web 2 to Web 3 and going to the blockchains and going to ICP, we need to be aware of these type of problems and we need to fix it. And yeah, for sure, that's amazing project. Yeah, and just for finish the amazing talk with you, Jesse, I would like to know more about other project that you are involved. Is about Hello ICP. Uh, yeah, also about LinguaLabs. I'm not sure exactly what is LinguaLabs, but
Yeah.
yeah, maybe
All
you
right.
can
So
explain it.
LinguaLabs is just an umbrella, so I could have a fancy email address to
Mm-hmm.
put all these projects under, just to kind of give it, like, I didn't want them all to just be branded ICP Jesse, since I foolishly put my name in there. And so
Yeah.
I just created LinguaLabs as a placeholder to kind of hold the tacos, the ICP Jesse Twitter account, the Hello ICP effort. All of those things is just an umbrella with a cool. I got a great logo for it. That was really what I wanted. Was a great logo I could put on a shirt, which I've done. Because
Yeah.
you can get Taco. I have a swag store for Taco NFTs as well, so you can get Taco NFT T-shirts. You can get T-shirts. Yeah, now I've got something to plug here. This is great.
Yeah. That's
The
cool.
so you
That's
can get.
cool. Your T-shirt today, yeah?
I'm actually wearing a Taco NFT shirt at this very moment.
Yeah.
But you can
That's cool.
get our Motoko Pinata design
Mm-hmm.
on a shirt as well. And then one of my favorite things, we forgot to mention this, is the internationality of the community. And something I never expected was with the tacos. I think more than half the people that hold Taco NFTs have never had a taco in their life because, not,
Mm-hmm.
sure, I eat them every day for every meal. That's just like my personal brand. But, people all over the world, it's so international that it is really interesting to see how people latch onto the idea of tacos and excitement about that. And we're big in Japan, and I love that. So we're big in Japan. And so I put out some Japanese swag. So you can get the Taco NFT logo in katakana, which is like a phonetic spelling of non-Japanese words. And so it says Tacos NFTs in Japanese there. Or we
Mm-hmm.
have a version of the Motoko Pinata shirt that says Internet Computer in Japanese as well. So those are both super fun designs. I'll send you a link to that so you can help me sell some more T-shirts.
Yeah, for
And
sure. Yeah.
then Hello ICP, that's a new project that has been really fun. That is a front door friendly help desk to help people figure out what they need to know on the internet computer. It is a big
Mm.
space. It is complicated. There's a lot to understand. There's internet identity, there's NNS. And so just trying to demystify it and help people. I'm always getting DMs in my on my Twitter account asking for questions. Hey, I had a question about staking. Hey, I had a question about internet identity. And I thought, this actually would be a really great sort of community driven space. So that also is a team effort. I've got support from Shruti, ICP Girl, and Minda, all of whom are active on Twitter in the community. So people in the background are helping me do that because, again, trying to provide 24-hour support as well around the
Yeah.
clock for people.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool because ICP have a big community, but we need people from outside. A lot of people around the world don't need anything about ICP, and we need to educate them, and we need to like give them like a guide to start from the beginning, from the scratch, to be part of the community and know more about the ICP. Okay, yeah, thank you, Jesse Friedman. Thank you so much for staying here today with us. Know more about you and about your projects and your contributions to the community. Do you want to add something else before to wrap up to
No,
the PIP
thank you for
contribution?
doing this podcast and for having me on. This has been a real pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse, for
Thank
everything.
you.
Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.